States. So I'd like to bring forth our very first speaker, Senator Darren Bailey.
Yeah! Well, God bless you, friends. It's an absolute honor to be here in Crete, Illinois with what I have discovered to be some very conservative, freedom-minded people with the Crete Township Republicans. So it's always good when we're amongst freedom. I'm sorry that my wife Cindy could not be here with me today. This evening we are celebrating one of my granddaughter's birthdays. So every few Sundays we're able to get together and do that. And thank goodness for David Smith here, because unbeknownst, my team had originally canceled our appearance here because my wife put on the calendar non-negotiable. And usually that's what that means. But when David Smith called and said, hey, we got a pretty important meeting here and we need you here in Crete, I came.
Amen. Thank you.
I apologize. We're going to have to leave here shortly. I want to give a shout out to Illinois Family Institute and David Smith. 3 years ago, I ran as a state representative. I primaried a good man that had served for 14 years. A man who I had supported financially, physically. My children staffed his offices in Springfield and his home office, but he fell off the wagon. He forgot his Republican values. I carry this with me everywhere I go. I give many of these away. The platform talks about the Republican and the Democrat platform. Friends, this is the roadmap to getting our country and our state back in place. We have simply got to honor it. We've got to follow it. We've got to teach it. It's all there. So David Smith and Illinois Family Action, I believe, if not the first time, pulled their endorsement from this sitting representative who was pro-life, but unfortunately he supported a tax increase in the 2018 budget, pulled their endorsement and gave it to me, and I am eternally grateful for what Illinois Family Institute, Illinois Family Action stands for. And I think because, and the reason why they did this is exactly who we are and who we stand for.
That's right.
Friends, Proverbs 28:2 tells us that when there is moral rot in a nation, its government topples easily, but wise and knowledgeable leaders will bring stability. And it's time, it's time to reclaim that. It's time to live that. It's time to, again, teach it. Cindy and I worshipped at church this morning in Florida, near the airport where I flew out of. And it was the same church that we were married in 35 years ago. And it's interesting because at the end of the service, the pastor stood up and he made a plea. He said, we've got a wonderful youth program. We're bringing in over 100 students, but we need workers because we've got to keep our students safe. We need workers. So as he was standing there proclaiming the help, there's a position of service, and he needs to fill it. And friends, so we are setting in the state of Illinois, we have got to make sure that in 2022 every electable position is filled.
That's right.
We've got to make sure that these precinct committee persons, I recently learned there's over 10,400 precinct positions in the state of Illinois, and Republicans only hold around 1,800 of those. Friends, something's wrong. We need to get to work. We have been enjoying freedom. We have become complacent. I have become apathetic. I can sit here and tell you that because I'm enjoying life. I'm enjoying raising my children. I'm enjoying raising our grandchildren. And then I wake up one day and discover that, wow, what's the future for my grandchildren look like? As I told you earlier, Cindy and I have been married for 35 years. We have 4 children. We have 10 grandchildren along the way. We farm 12,000 acres, corn, soybeans, and wheat. We have a trucking company and an excavating business. 12 plus men and women work on the farm with us. I served for 17 years on the North Bay School Board. Literally got off the board just so new leadership could come in. We have an amazing school district in Louisville, Illinois, 30 minutes south of Effingham. No sooner got off the school board than God opened the door for us to open up a Christian school, Full Armor Christian Academy. It's now 6 years later. It's now home to almost 400 students, pre-K through high school. I tell you this, friends, because as you look around, a lot of good people running for governor. Okay, there usually is good men, good women. You have to pick who you're going to support, who you're going to get behind, and who you're going to vote for. You've got a little under a year to do that since June 28th is going to be the primary. But I suggest you take consideration to performance. I'm a farmer, and I've got to consider the performance of the seed that I plant, any fertilizer program I do, the equipment that I buy. I don't just go and grab something when the salesman comes and tells me how great it is. I want to see how it is performed. Friends, I hit the ground running in 2019 as a new state representative, and I haven't turned back. I've stood up in caucus, I've stood up on the floor, and I've called out bad legislation.
That's right.
2020, just a year ago, sitting here and all these lockdowns are happening, and I'm wondering, who's going to stand up and do something? I'm not an attorney. Surely somebody's going to do something. That gentleman back here, Jose Durbin, who was then my legislative assistant, now he's my campaign manager, as we were delivering PPE to the prisons, to the health departments, to the sheriff departments, even to the hospitals in our area, back in March of 2020, or April, he pops up in his seat and he says, "We need to sue the governor." I said, "Well, I've never sued anybody, and I've never been sued, and I'm not going to start now." And we began to pray about that, and I began to realize that, well, a lawsuit is just a legal question, right? So it seemed right. Friends, in July 2nd of 2020, Governor Pritzker in the Clay County Court, a case that has never been dismissed, a case that has never been overturned, was deemed illegal and unconstitutional in his executive order actions. And the only reason that he is able to continue those actions is because we're letting him.
That's right.
You cannot enforce these executive orders now a year and a half later and 90 plus. It's nonsense. We have got to stand up and claim that our constitutional God-given rights if we're going to put an end to this nonsense.
That's right. That's right.
About a few weeks later, we convened into a special session, I guess, a special session. I stood up against the mask mandate. I want to let you know something. I am not anti-vaccine, and I am not anti-mask. I am pro-freedom. Government educates. Government educates. Government informs. Government provides resources. Illinois Department of Public Health, go out there and do your thing and give us some solutions. But then we decide how we're going to take that, okay? So that's what we do. So friends, I've been standing up, I've been pushing from day one. We've been invited up here many, many times into the Chicago area to speak in churches, to speak in schools, to speak in businesses, to spread hope, to reopen our businesses. And Cindy and I began to realize, wow, there's a movement. There's something that's going to take place in 2022 because we are hearing from a lot of disgruntled people. We're seeing a lot of friends and family moving out of this state. We've seen businesses close. We've seen dreams dashed. We've seen hope gone away from our children who have missed all year of school last year. We've seen students coming into our colleges to begin a life of professional sports or something else is dashed, gone, taken away. We can never allow that again, friends.
Amen.
And under my governorship, we will never allow that again. So real quick, I'll wind up. I stand before you. I will be presenting a zero-based budget. That'll be a budget that every agency head will start at zero. They will build their own budget. That will be presented to you. No more of this 3,888 page of sentences that has existed ever since 1970. It's time to rein in government. It's time to cut the fat, cut the spending, possibly cut some departments. We can do that, friends. All we've got to do is position men and women of integrity at heads of these agencies who are not afraid to hire and fire, who are not afraid to make the difficult call. It's that simple. We will end unfunded mandates in our school system. We'll wipe the table clean. That will begin impact on your property taxes, and it will immediately line up for local leadership in your schools as our constitutional process declares. So, a lot of people wonder, how in the world are you going to do all this? Our colleges, Illinois University of Illinois, are you aware that just a few weeks ago, first time ever, University of Illinois was declared the second most liberal college in the nation? That U.S. News and World Reports. That is disgusting. How do we change that? Are you aware that the trustee system of the colleges that kind of direct their way, are you aware that it is the governor that places those people in authority? Are you aware Illinois State Board of Education, who we have heard more from than we've ever heard of in history, and they are wrecking our school system? Are you aware it is the governor that places those people in those positions? It's all up to us, friends. It's all up to the people. That's why Illinois is so awesome. From north, south, east, and west, it's the people. But friends, as conservative, as Republicans, we have got to stand back up, and we have got to get to work. Many of you talk and worry about it and concerned about election integrity. In a few weeks, I will be rolling out a comprehensive plan of election reform. Listen, here, much like our local school boards, it all starts locally. Do you know who controls the local election process? The county clerk.
That's right.
Do you know who purchases and who's involved in the way that we vote, machines or whatever? The county board. Friends, contact these people, hold them accountable. How many election judges and poll watchers do we have here in the room? Hey, this is good. This is a good number. But you know what? Every hand ought to be up in here. You want to protect and watch our, yes. Friends, freedom isn't free. It's not free, and it is time to get to work. We have got to look forward to the future to do that. We've got a lot of work ahead, and we've got a lot of time to do it. We've got a year and a half. We will get Illinois taken back. We will fire JB Pritzker.
Yeah!
On November 22. God bless you.